Okay, so I'm with the folks of Holy Cow Beef here in Lubbock, Texas, and we are going to help you out with some label confusion in the grocery store. So real quickly, Holy Cow is also in Whole Foods. So what you will see is when you go in the grocery store, whether it's Whole Foods, Costco, or wherever you guys shop, you see a bunch of all these labels from organic to grass-fed to all of these things. So briefly, what do you guys have on your label?
In Whole Foods, we are sold under Grass-Fed Livestock Association.
Okay.
But on our retail label, it just says Holy Cow Beef from Lubbock, Texas. We also have the American Grassfed Association, so that's our certification saying we are grass-fed and grass-finished. We also have Go Texan and a couple other things.
Go Texan. You guys, how do you farm? The way nature intended, regenerative, organic, all the super quality ways that we would want,
right?
Or I would want, and I'd want to consume in beef. So
yes,
we're going to do some rapid fire questions here about just these labels. And so let's say I'm a consumer and I walk into the grocery store and I have shelves full of meat. And then one of the first things I see is grass-fed meat. So my question is, would you buy it or would you not? Would you consider it a real label or a marketing gimmick? Go.
I'd say a real label for sure.
Real label. Well then.
90% of the time it's the real thing.
Okay.
On grass-fed.
It's a marketing gimmick. 100% marketing gimmick.
Yeah.
If you're at a grocery store, I say get out of the grocery store and find a local rancher.
Oh, good.
That's a good
I'd
answer.
probably say gimmick unless you can see like another certification on it.
Yeah.
So if
Okay.
it just says grass-fed.
Because it needs to say grass-finished.
Okay.
And you want third-party certifications. You can't just have a person say that they're grass-fed on their phone.
Got it.
USDA does that a lot.
All right. What about the word just regenerative?
What do you mean by that? Just the word?
On the label. If
On
you
the
see
label.
it, is it a gimmick or is it a real legit?
I don't have an answer for that one, really.
Okay. Well then.
I like the word regenerative. It's fairly new in our lexicon, but it normally means that the owner, the practitioner, is trying to use smaller equipment, less diesel, less inputs. For example, here on what we do, when grass is on the ground, the roots are pretty deep.
Okay.
So when we get a rain, almost all the moisture from the rain goes down that root system and into the soil. We don't have very much water run off into the ditches compared to your cultivated crops where they're using big equipment to plow. And there's excess rain, it's all going to run off into the bar ditch and it doesn't penetrate.
Okay.
It's a gimmick. It's just not well defined by FSIS. And so there's people that are using it that still spray that instead of grubbing their mesquites, they're spraying them with chemicals. So they're approved as regenerative and it's not, you really got to know your rancher.
Diego.
Same.
Gimmick.
A gimmick.
Dang. Okay. 2 points. Tim, well, how do you feel about regenerative? He says 2 thumbs up. I think that means it's real.
It. Yeah.
All right. So then the next label that we would see is pasture-raised. Real or a gimmick?
Oh, I mean, they're not telling the whole story, so I would say gimmick.
Okay.
Pasture-raised isn't really enough of an explanation like Manny said. So someone buying the product needs to get to someone in the store that can answer it in more detail.
Okay.
Which usually never happens.
So does that mean like pick up the phone and call the person that's producing your food and maybe have a conversation
have a relationship with that person.
And
so
if they don't want to talk to you, what does that mean?
That's
right.
not good.
So pasture-raised is another gray area on a label because it literally means they can be feeding them in the pasture. And so anytime your cattle start eating grain, that's when your omega-3s and omega-6s are going to start doing that flip-flop. So to me, it's still a little bit of a misleading gimmick.
Diego.
You guys are just doing all the information. Gimmick.
Okay. Well, he's too far out. He didn't hear this conversation. But Tim, what do you think Tim would say?
Tim would say gimmick. Yes. Tim knows the difference. Yes.
Okay.
Which is sad because most consumers don't. And that's why we need people like you to educate consumers.
Okay. And then it's up to you guys to make intentional choices. And if you still want to buy the labels that say pasture raised, it's great. You'll make an informed choice now. So now when it says instead of just grass finished, what about 100% grass fed as opposed to grass fed, grass finished?
So if we see what label are we looking at?
So there's 100% grass fed and or grass fed, grass finished.
Yes. So you're asking about the difference between the two?
Yes.
Well, if they're a marketing gimmick or if you think they're real.
Yeah, which one is a gimmick, which one's not, or maybe they both are.
Honestly, I would say grass fed, grass finished would be the more real one. It'd be harder to fake that one, I guess.
And Weldon.
The same grass finish means the cattle were on grass their whole lifetime. It should maybe say lifetime grass finished. I mean, our cattle don't eat anything that's not green. I mean, we have treats for cattle.
And we also feed hay that's brown, but it's still grass.
It started out as green grass.
Right.
Forage.
Yeah, forage. Yeah. I struggle with that one because I want to believe that it's real. I want to believe that it's a legit. So I'm going to say legit.
I like grass-fed, grass-finished. It teaches me or it shows me that they've done a little more than just told me it's had an opportunity to eat grass. 100% grass-fed, I feel like it's a little gimmicky, but who knows?
Okay.
Yeah, you don't really know until you talk.
Until you talk to the rancher.
Right. Seems like some of the main theme takeaway is talk to the rancher for sure to get more clarity on these labels. But I do have a few more questions for you.
Okay.
What about made in the USA?
Made in the USA. I mean, like for beef,
Yes.
I guess I would say raised in the U.S., wouldn't it? Is that what you mean?
No, the
says
label
made.
actually says made.
Yeah.
So is it a gimmick or is it legit?
Oh, just because they use the word made, I would assume that was a gimmick.
Okay.
What they did is, they're bringing foreign beef in from other countries, and if those owners of that beef repackage a cut of meat and says produced in the USA, then the American consumer thinks it's American beef, which it's not. That's misleading.
It's a gimmick, and Manny's right. It needs to say raised in the USA. Made just means they brought the beef over the border and they have repackaged it, and that package was made in the USA.
Wow. Do you?
100% gimmick.
Okay. 100% gimmick. Wow. Stuttering on that one.
Right.
So Tim, what do you think?
Made
in the USA.
I don't like it.
I don't like it, he says. Perfect. Okay, what about now we get into sort of the maybe farming or animal husbandry? Well, I guess it's kind of the same thing, but what about American grass-fed? There's that little, like that circular green label, right?
Right.
The AGA, yes, I like that label.
Okay.
I think it's
Real?
I think it's real.
Okay.
And obviously I do too, and we've been a member of the AGA as long as anyone else in the United States, almost like Will Harris and us. We're American grass-fed. It's American beef, grass-fed, finished.
It is, in my opinion, it's worth it. It's legit, and it gives that consumer security because you can go onto their website and see the list of what it takes to become an American grass-fed producer. And then there's your security and there's your peace of mind. So yes, it's 100% worth any package that has American grass-fed on
It's
it.
like shaking your rancher's hand, but you don't have to go find a rancher to shake their hand.
Yes, if you can
That
just get
makes
that.
it nice. Okay.
Because it's a third-party authentication process, it makes it a lot more reliable and trustworthy, rather than just somebody saying, this is what I'm doing with them, that, you can't really trust what they're saying or doing.
And so then speaking of third-party labels, I think there's one more out there, well, that I know of. Is it called Regenerative of America or something?
And I'm not even familiar with that one, so I can't answer. I haven't looked at
How
their...
about organic?
Oh, we didn't get there yet, but we're going to right now. So, organic.
No.
That's it.
Well,
Full stop.
I know,
learned the
right?
hard way. We had a guy that was a neighbor of ours many years ago, who was a very good farmer, and he was growing cotton that year, and they spray it often to knock the leaves off. So anyway, there's chemicals, on the ground, in the ground, and then the next year he was growing organic watermelons. And so he's a friend of mine. I walk over there to him. He's outside the pickup. And I said, Mr. So-and-so, I said, this wasn't, organic has to be over a period of years
Right.
that you attain that certification. And he just does what we always do if you're giving someone money. He said, it just takes this. And that's paying the certifier to certify you organic, even though the certifier knows that you didn't go through all the qualifications.
Sure. Okay. And
So I know that story, and I believe that everything that's labeled organic is not 100% organic. But I would hate to say it's all a gimmick, because there are people who really do raise organic, and I want to support them. And so I encourage people to still buy organic, because we need to be a stronger voice in the marketplace. So for me, organic is worth it.
And Diego up there.
I like Anne's answer.
Yes.
I think we should try to purify organic and not wash it down. I think kind of organic should be important, and it should be something that we prioritize. That should be the norm.
It should be the norm. Yeah.
That should just be assumed.
Good answer. Tim?
Research the brand. If it's a good brand saying organic.
Great. I like that. Yeah. Are we missing any labels?
Non-GMO.
Non-GMO. All right, non-GMO. What do we got?
Is it a gimmick or is it worth it?
I'd say gimmick.
If they say non-GMO, they're meaning they're not genetically modified. Then I would believe that, because it's harder to make that a gimmick than it is to be truthful about it. If you're non-GMO, you've gone to extra efforts as the farmer.
We all know they all like shortcuts, so.
Yes.
But they do. So there's those people that cheat. But there always will be those kind of people. So and the best thing on the beef side is, we used to say, shake your rancher's hand, ask questions, and then that's getting closer and closer to the truth.
The realness. And
So non-GMO kind of falls with organic. Everything organic, if it's legit, it's also not genetically modified. But everything that's not genetically modified isn't necessarily organic. So you can't take that as being a very powerful label. I think it's important for consumers, as there's a lot of people out there who are sensitive to genetically modified things, but I'm not sure that it's always 100% true. So I'm kind of on the fence about that one.
Diego?
I often see a lot of chicken packaging that says like non-GMO, no antibiotics, those kind of things. And I feel like it's more of a gimmick just to say it, because their feed isn't genetically modified. It doesn't mean the quality of feed is good. It doesn't mean the quality of life is good. I think it's just a sub effect of a good thing, and it doesn't necessarily mean it's all good.
Tim?
Definitely gimmick.
Yeah. Okay. We'll stop there. All right. So then actually one more then too, when it says no antibiotics, no hormones, no RBST. So real, or is it a gimmick?
I think you'd have to look for if they said that, you would have to look for a third-party certification. So if they say that and they don't have a third-party certification, then it's a gimmick.
Okay. So they can just slap it on there with no backing at all, or?
I don't know if they can, but if they do, then it's definitely a gimmick.
Yeah. There we go, Weldon.
No.
Wasn't this?
Oh my goodness. No antibiotics, no hormones, no RBSTs.
Gimmick or not?
I would want it to be truthful. It's just whether or not it really is. If you're seeing that label in the grocery store, you're not going to be able to go out to the farm and talk to the farmer. You're there at that point in time. So I'm going to probably buy that one just because of the label. But then it'd be my job to do more research. Like, where does the food come from? Which farmer raised it or grew it? And so it just takes more effort on our part, which most Americans don't like to do that.
Nope. Effort. And
I agree with Weldon. It's a label I support. It's a label, if I see it, especially on dairy, I would tend to purchase that. But I think the onus is on us to find out about the brand, of which we do. Weldon and I know some of those ranchers because of that, because we took the extra effort to find out, are you legit,
It's like knowing our raw milk producer that he only has jerseys and that his practices are solid and honest, and he produces some of the best
Right.
raw milk in the country, certainly in Texas. And about a third of the gallon separates into the fat, which is a really high content of that fat.
That's what we want to see,
We want to see.
You want to see it.
Diego.
It's a little gimmicky, but like Ann said, I want to believe in it. I want, I'll probably choose that because
He
of
wants
it.
you.
But ultimately, it is about knowing who's producing it and what kind of quality they provide.
Tim.
I'll probably go a little deeper on what Manny said of like you really need to see a third-party certificate on something like that, because you think of like a Kirkland brand having something like that. It's like they can't produce at the level they're producing not using antibiotics. And so it's like you're going to want to see a smaller brand probably could, but something that's a larger brand that's mass produced, like if it's not being verified externally, it probably is going to be a gimmick.
Perhaps that's why they get all the recalls too. And things like that, if they don't use any antibiotics. We'll see.
Yeah.
Okay, so are you still confused? Probably because we're confused unless we talk to our ranchers, right?
Talk to the rancher.
Even as a rancher yourself, you still would want to you look past the label. This is essentially the label, is putting a face to just the beef that you guys buy. Like, these are the hardworking ranchers. These are the hardworking cowboys and farmers. And
Don't call us a farmer.
I know.
Who's one of the farmers? Okay.
We're grass farmers.
Yeah, but this is what you want, is to have conversations and follow those who do bring you directly to the ranch, or go out there yourself, make a weekend of it, bring your family. It's actually a fun, great experience to be outside and just be amongst, those that are really doing awesome.
We're trying.
Yeah, Mother Nature
Getting
and stuff
our
too.
vitamin D out here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So definitely pick up the phone, call, look at the label, research them, talk to them. So if consumers were to take this step to pick up the phone, maybe call and talk to the rancher, it's like, what do I ask? So do you have perhaps a few different questions that you would ask this rancher to verify that you would, or just to feel comfortable in purchasing their meat? Because I know I'm really passionate about super, pure high quality meat, but what are some of the questions that they can ask to at least get a pretty decent nutrient density out of a grocery bought?
So the one thing we were all consensus on was American Grassfed. I would go to that website. It's americangrassfed.org. They have a list of criteria so you would go under producers, not consumers, because consumers, they'll show you where you can find people like us, but go under producers, and they've got a list right there of what it takes to become a qualified American Grassfed producer. Those are your questions. So that's your list right there. Do you have any more easier than getting on a website? What would you say?
Well, I think that's the easiest way, and then call some of them.
Yeah.
That are in your area.
Yeah.
And that'll be fairly revealing in and of itself. Do they take your call, and will they answer your questions? And you can ask them, what does it mean to you to be an American Grassfed Association producer?
So we actually had a couple different customers, but one in particular from California that wanted us to keep shipping. Shipping frozen beef is very difficult, and it's just the carbon footprint, all the things. We don't really believe in doing that. Do we ship? Yes. Do we like it? No. So, but we held her hand. I actually found a couple ranches near this person within a couple hours drive, and then gave her that list off American Grassfed. Well, 3 weeks later, she called me back and thanked me upside down and backwards about, wow, you actually gave my dollars to another rancher, and I can't thank you enough. But I think that's really what it's going to take to turn the health of our country around, to turn the food system around, is that we have to care about the bigger picture and about each other. And it's not about the almighty dollar of me shipping beef all the way to California. That's not really what it's all about.
Right, right. Yeah, we talked about that too. And yeah, just the more that we can sort of source locally, the better our carbon footprint will be too, but also just healthier communities.
Exactly.
So that's really important too. And we're just, here to, and if this, it's not necessarily to say, oh, come, like you said, buy Holy Cow Beef or have it shipped over here to California, because I know there's some people that are watching that are everywhere, but
Right.
maybe just learn from this and apply it to a local farm that you have researched on your own, so that you can kind of like source, ask them questions, go on the website to American Grassfed, and I'll put all the links and all the information below, including Holy Cow Beef's website as well too, so that you can also follow them, because they put tons of education out there. You guys are great mentors. You guys are great voices in the regenerative community. You'll find them at events as well too. You guys were recently at Hack Your Health, and so all these events, just come say hi and just get involved.
Yes.
Educate yourselves.
Yes.
So cool. So
You
thank you.
can't be a lazy researcher when it's the food that you're putting in your body.
Yeah,
You
it
just have to
matters.
Put energy into your research.
I think it's like source it how you would your doctors, though I don't really go to doctors anymore, but I mean like your holistic health, or those types of people. You really want to make sure that it aligns with your values.
Absolutely.
And that's how food should be too.
Absolutely.
So
That's right.
cool. Thank you guys so much for
You're
House
welcome.
on the prairie.
answering these
Lindsay.
questions. Yeah,
Thank
thank you
you.
guys. Thank
Lindsay.
you. See you.
Bye.